What exactly AML means and why is it so critical in today's financial environment?
There are multiple people involved in a transaction. There is an unusual transaction without purpose.
Like what all are the sectors or the industry in UAE which are considered as a high risk?
CBUE, Central Bank of UAE, looks after financial institutions, insurance companies, as a Ministry of Economy, who looks after designated non-financial businesses, DFSA, ADGM, FSRA, WARA.
What is this grey list?
Since March 2023, UAE government decided to come out of the grey list. I believe in April 2024, they were out of the grey list.
What are the normal AML compliances for any XYZ company? How is this technology improving AML processes in the UAE?
The penalties range from around 50,000 dirham to 5 million. So depending on the violation and the penalty.
Advice for businesses and professionals to stay ahead in meeting AML requirements? What would be the most cost effective way of maintaining AML compliance for SMEs? Hello, Asad. How are you doing? Welcome to our show.
Hello. I'm good. How are you doing?
Good, great. So I'm with my
Hello.
co-host Anjali.
Hello, Anjali.
Our whole podcast is going to revolve around the topic AML, which is a burning, crucial topic to discuss, especially for the people who are living in Dubai who are into businesses. We'll deep dive into it, but before jumping to the questions regarding AML, I would first request you to introduce yourself and share your background with us.
Sure. My name is Mohammad Asad. I work for Idenfo Solutions, which is a UK-based company. We also have an office in the IFC. We cater more than 1,700 plus clients. And over the years, I've helped companies understand regulatory requirements, build KYC processes, and implement AML technology solutions. I entered in this field because I saw how important compliance is for protecting businesses and financial system.
How has been your so far experience in AML and compliance in UAE?
See, UAE has made major improvements, stronger laws, tight supervision, better technology. So UAE has been doing, a lot of efforts in improving their AML system. And I was always interested in system that protects people and organization. And AML is one of the rare field. It helps stop financial crime, terrorist financing, money laundering, because see, if AML is not part of the system, then easily crime like fraud, drug trafficking, corruption, cyber crime, which is increasingly happening in every sectors. And without AML, this money could have entered the financial system.
Yeah. Now, like it's been quite some time. You said how many years it's been you are into this field?
I am in this field over 3 years. So
Over 3 years.
in February, probably I would complete 4 years.
Okay. So, what motivated you to specialize in AML specifically, financial compliance? Was it when you saw the demand in the market or you were actually interested in it?
It is not regarding demand. Of course, demand comes when there is a requirement. So these are two different aspects. But for job perspective, as I said, this is a kind of job which makes a real impact to other organization. So this kind of a job is really respectable, where the people think us as an advisor, as an AML consultant who comes to their office probably, or consult them on their setting their process, setting their controls, setting their system, so that they can save their business and they can save their reputation in the market. They are doing a legal
Yeah.
business. So probably, yes, it is like protecting people and organization, as I said earlier.
First, let's start with the basics. So, what exactly AML means and why is it so critical in today's financial environment?
Yeah. So yes, see, the word AML is anti money laundering. So very simple. Those who are doing money laundering. So the AML words, what itself defined that anti-money laundering. So it is nothing, it
Yeah.
is just a set of rules, processes, and controls that prevent criminals from using legitimate business to hide illegal money. So this set of rules, processes includes many aspects like setting up your controls, building up your policies, having a due diligence process, having a process, KYC process. So these all set processes and controls is called as AML.
Okay. Can you give some examples here, like what kind of activities are considered laundering activities?
Let me give you a very simple example. So if I have, let's say I have a cash. Okay, so what I will do, I'll distribute the cash among my relatives and say them, okay, deposit a small amount of money into different bank accounts. Then I withdraw those amounts and then I go and deposit in another bank. So the bank itself is not able to identify the source of fund, that from where this money is coming. And then the money is utilized in purchase of, asset, purchase of luxury items, or maybe putting that money into the legal system.
So does that mean laundering is basically solely dependent on knowing the source, or there are more aspects to it?
See, laundering, what you're asking is basically a red flag. What could be a red flag in doing money laundering? So there could be a possible red flag that there are multiple people involved in a transaction. That could be one aspect. Okay. Where there is an unusual transaction without purpose, that could be considered as a red flag. There are complex ownership structure without clear explanation in a company, that shows a red flag. Then pressure for fast onboarding, that creates a red flag. The money coming from overseas and there is no proper source shown to the vendor, then probably it is considered as a illegal money. So there is no, I say one thing which clearly makes money suspicious. There are multiple factors you have to identify, not just a part of due diligence where you did a screening and you did a risk assessment on the client and you identified that person as a clean person, that transaction is a clean transaction. But there are many aspects you have to do while onboarding a client, from the KYC process to the enhanced due diligence. So there are many processes involved in that.
So what kind of people would do money laundering? Like, what are the major purposes that lead them to get into this activity of laundering?
See, of course, we call those people as criminals. Of course, who does anything which is done illegally are called criminals. So if a person hides illegal money, so why do a person hide illegal money? So any money which is not earned through a legal business, through a legal source, called a illegal money. So let's say I have done some robbery, bank robbery. So where I'm going to utilize that money? Okay. And if I use that money into building my asset, that becomes a money laundering. If I do some sort of fraud, maybe I am running a chit fund, I I looted all our investor money and utilizing in my personal asset and trying to buy a real estate property that, in future that becomes my asset. So utilizing illegal money, that becomes an illegal money, that becomes a fraud. So that is called money laundering. If I'm doing selling a drug, let's say I'm doing drug trafficking and I'm selling drugs, and from that drug if I get the money, where I'm going to utilize
You are
that
not doing, someone is doing, imagine. That is a
money.
better example.
Yeah, just an example. Yes, yes.
So, what I understand or what I can gauge with so far conversation is that AML is not just limited to the initial stage, but it covers the whole cycle, like from where the money is coming, how is it is being distributed, and where is that money utilized. This whole aspect, this whole cycle comes under AML. It's not just the beginning, it's
Exactly.
also about the utilization of money.
Exactly. See, because if I'm a smart launderer, what I will do, I will purchase the flag and immediately sell that flag and then reinvest that money, because to hide the source. So it is not just one time investment of that money. So that is the process which is called monitoring. You have to keep monitoring that client.
Mhm. Okay. Anjali, you have any questions? Question which is coming in my mind is like there is a term called reconciliation which is used in finance. So is it related like we are just trying to avoid laundering of the money through this reconciliation? Is it related to it? Just trying to understand.
No, in compliance term, you call it remediation, not reconciliation. So remediation
Okay.
means if there is a customer, probably if you have not been keeping a proper track of that customer, you're not doing a monitoring on that client. So probably you do a remediation. Probably you recheck their all KYC documents. You re-screen them through a different sanction list, different the regulatory requirements, the list which is required by the central bank. Then probably you identify if there is any red flag on this customer or not. So after doing all sort of remediation work, then you like you said, reconciliation. So same way you do remediation on any customer while rechecking their KYC documents, while rescreening them through different lists, and keeping on check on them.
Got it. Thank you. I wish to understand what are the key AML laws and the regulatory bodies in the UAE that businesses should be aware of, like who are monitoring AML? So, can you please name them and explain their work? Like, what do they exactly do?
Yeah. So first I'll start with the law. So the law was introduced, the Federal Decree Law number 20 of 2018, which was supported by Cabinet Decision number 10 of 2019. And there's a newer Cabinet Resolution number 71 of 2024, which is basically on violation and penalties. So yeah, they have a very strict laws against the money laundering. And regulators, there are different regulators on different business activities. So CBUE, Central Bank of UAE, looks after financial institutions, insurance companies, asset management companies. Then there is a Ministry of Economy who looks after designated non-financial businesses, DFSA, ADGM, FSRA, WARA. So there are different regulatory bodies who looks after their different business activities.
Okay, these bodies are taking care of different industries. They are
Yeah.
specific to industries.
Yes, yes. So let's say if your company is registered with ADGM, so ADGM becomes your regulatory authority. If your company is, let's say, have a business activity of into virtual assets, then VARA is your regulatory authority. If your business falls under designated non-financial like real estate, broker, accounting, corporate services, then Ministry of Economy is your supervisory body.
These are the only organizations who are also taking care of or doing the monitoring or related to the AML.
They do have they are also considered as a financial regulator. So they also
Okay.
look after, they also supervise you on the AML perspective, that are you following the AML laws, if your company has a proper policy, if you're having a proper control, internal control is strong, so you have a proper compliance officer, you have been following the due diligence process protocols.
Cool. So since you have been here in this city for like 8 years and specifically into AML for last 3 years, so I would like to understand based on your experience how the AML has regulation has evolved in UAE like over past few years. I know it did not used to be that strict, but recently in past couple of years, I believe they have become quite strict and very strict monitoring, inspections. All these things have started happening.
Hmm, hmm. So see, as per my experience, I have experienced this happening from
Okay.
2023. So prior to that, there was a law in place, and there were people who were uh, using the AML tools to onboard their customer. They were following, but yes, like you said, there was no stricter laws, there was no tight supervision, there was no regulatory inspection happening. But since March 2023, UAE government decided to come out of the grey list, and within a year, probably with their better technology, focus on high risk sector, within a year, I believe in April 2024, they were out of the grey list. So after,
Wow.
yeah, so after that, also they continued this activity in AML. Also, they want to build a total ecosystem where they have also set up a proper department for it. They implemented VAT. If you remember, if when VAT was introduced in 2018, probably it took 3-4 years to people to understand VAT and
True.
take the VAT invoice and come proper into the VAT law. Same way, I see within 3-4 years, of course, they have started in 2023 March, the stricter is investigation, inspection. So it's just 2 years. Probably going forward in 1 or 2 years, we will see all DNMBP, probably the small medium enterprises who were not aware about the laws, who were not doing proper due diligence, will start following the laws and will have their stronger internal controls.
You mentioned about gray list. Can you just throw some light on it? What is this gray list?
See, the list, there is a international body called Financial Action Task Force, FATF. So they decide a country based on their tax transparency, based on their internal AML control. So they review the country based on that. They have a listing process that which all country would go into high risk, medium risk, gray list. So they have a proper list of that. That creates a barrier for a country to have an international exposure when you are into a gray list. To when you are into gray list, of course, you are considered as a country who does not have a stricter AML laws within your country, who does not have a proper tax transparency, who does not have a, you can say, clean running organizations. So every country has put their efforts that they are not into the gray list. They look clean within the international market, so they don't have any problem in growing their economy.
So this can have impact on your economy if you happen to be in the gray list,
Yes,
right?
of course, yes.
Here, I would like to understand, like, when UAE came up with these laws, they started with the tax, and then first VAT, then corporate tax, and then AML. So obviously, they are already working towards this, as you rightly said, that they wanted to come out of the gray list, and they are taking every possible measure to ensure that authentic people, authentic organizations, clean money is rotating in their economy. So, this framework that they have come up with respect to AML, is it also something that the country designs by itself, or it is also regulated by FATF? They are the one who tells the country that what all laws they need to make and how, what are the provisions to be followed. How does it work?
Yeah, so you're absolutely right. There's a, like I said, there's an international body called FATF. They have their own risk-based approach, and UAE follows completely the FATF risk-based approach. So whatever the guidelines given by the FATF, the country has to follow. And the risk-based approach are based on many parameters. One is, of course, a due diligence process, which I said, name scanning. Then there are other parameters such as nationality risk, whether the customer nationality is a high risk or low risk. Like I mentioned, the country, if they are into gray list, considered as a high risk country.
Mm.
So based on the country of residence, based on the product, based on the industry, based on the state they live in, based on the delivery channels. So there are many aspects of the risk which FATF has mentioned, and UAE strictly follow the FATF guidelines.
Okay, so that means the high risk is not just with respect to activities, it is with respect to nationalities, and there are many other things that you just mentioned. So even the high risk is also categorized into different segments.
Yeah, yeah.
So if someone is imagine falling in the high risk category in terms of national also, maybe activity also, then the life becomes little more complicated probably.
No, that's not complication. See, it's a part of the process, right? So when you make a policy for your organization, you mention this that if I identify, let's say, a customer coming from a high risk nationality, so according to my company policy, I will have an enhanced due diligence on the client. That means what? I will have more information about the client. So it's not about getting a trouble. It's about getting more information from the client if he comes from a high risk nationality. So what could be the more information? More information could be like we were discussing about source of fund, source of income. It's properly, he is like a residential address where he lives in, where some sort of electricity bill proof or anything which prove his existence.
All right, got it. I think Anjali would like to take some questions since we are already now into high risk discussions. So, Anjali, please proceed. Okay, all right. So, Asa, just wanted to know like what all are the sectors or the industry in UAE which are considered as a high risk, like from money laundering perspective.
Yes, so that's a very good question. First of all, financial institution, of course, comes under a high risk industry where there is a money flow, which is like banks, financial institution, asset management companies. But later, the government also identified designated non financial businesses, which is also coming as a high risk sectors. So they have identified five sectors. So one is accounting and auditing firms. Second is real estate brokers. Third is corporate service providers, or you can say business setup firms. Then legal and law firms. And then precious metals and precious jewelry and metals. And there are also a few more industry like virtual assets, provider, then luxury cars, luxury watches. So where are all the places the money can be grown easily, that sectors are considered as a high risk sectors.
Okay, all right. Okay, and what are the common red flags which a business should look into day-to-day operations?
See, red flags, like I said, there could be a lot of red flags. And if you go to central bank website, they have clearly mentioned all the red flags which organization has to consider while onboarding a customer. So let's say that you have a customer who avoids providing you proper documentation what you're asking for. So that becomes one red flag, right? If you're asking me, let's say that send me your residential address proof, maybe a tenancy contract, and if I am avoiding that, that creates a red flag because I should not have an issue while giving my residential address. Then, like I said, coming from multiple accounts. Let's say if I have to pay you 100,000, what do? I pay you 30,000 from my account, 30,000 from my wife account, 30,000 from my mother account, 40,000 from my father account. So the money coming from different accounts also creates a red flag. That why there is a reason that the money is not coming from the direct account. The, the other red flag indicator could be if I'm doing a business transaction and transferring money from maybe my the different business account. So that also creates a red flag indicator.
Okay.
Then a pressure for fast onboarding, like I said, if I insist you that please onboard me fast, whatever document I have, just take this and just onboard me, give me a faster onboarding. Then unusual transaction without purpose. Let's say if my company annual income probably is 1 million and the transaction value is 5 million, that does not match with the business income. So that again creates a red flag. So could be many red flag indicators for a business to understand.
Got it. All right. Let's talk about the compliances. Since AML has become a mandatory compliance, I would like to understand the AML compliance for any XYZ general companies that are being opened here. And then there are five sectors that you listed out, wherein It is considered as high risk sectors, right? So, if you can briefly explain what are the normal AML compliances for any XYZ company, and secondly, for those who are running the firms in these five sectors, which are considered more high risk, please let us know.
See, compliance is same for everyone. There is no different compliance for any other industry, and there is no a separate compliance for DNAPP industry. The only thing which I mentioned in earlier discussion, that supervisory bodies are different and regulatory bodies are different. So let's say if you are having a DNFBP, probably you have to register with GoAML platform, which is a financial intelligence unit of UAE, where you can report suspicious transaction. But in terms of having a full compliance ready company, you should have proper AML policy. If you are a bank, if you are a financial institution, if you're asset management, if you are a real estate, corporate services, you should have an AML policy. Then you should have a proper KYC process where you have a KYC form, you have a due diligence process. Diligence process could be done through software tool where you have a TFS where you screen customer through sanction list, politically exposed list. You check whether there is an adverse media on the client or not. You assess the customer risk based on the different parameters we discussed on the FATF risk based approach. If you identify any sort of risk on the client, then you do enhanced due diligence where you ask more documents from the client, and based on that you decide that whether I have to go and work with the client, or if you are identifying a red flags, which we discussed, that these all the red flags appear in any client when you are dealing with, then you directly go and report to your regulatory authority. So for you, for DNFBP, the regulatory authority could be Ministry of Economy, and they have made a GoML portal, which is your job for reporting, which you do not have to go and send an email to Ministry of Economy. You can directly log into the portal and you can report any suspicious activity or suspicious transaction.
Meaning, for example, if someone has gone to buy jewelry, and the staff there, they find something suspicious about the person, do they like take the document, check? How are they doing it?
See, for DNFBPs, there are certain controls. So first is control is cash transaction. So for them, KYC is of course mandatory. So whenever you go and buy a jewelry, they will ask you for your identity document, probably a passport, or if you're a UAE resident, then they will ask you for their Emirates ID. So they have their screening tool already integrated with their billing system. So when they put their name into the billing system, the system itself do a screening on you. Okay, and then system gives you an clear cut clarification whether you are high risk or low risk. But like I said, there are mandatory requirements also. Whenever you purchase any gold above 55,000 of cash, I'm not sure if you have purchased or not, they will give you a separate form to fill. Okay. So
Okay.
so they have to take certain declaration and certain more questionnaire from the client when a customer purchases jewelry above 55,000, and then it is always considered as a suspicious transaction when there is amount above 55,000.
This cap of 55,000 dirhams is limited to just a gold purchase or even in other sectors?
All the NBP sectors, 55,000. So I was just saying, see, there is one catch in this. Let's say if I have to buy a gold, so there is a limitation, probably 55,000. So I can come a day and buy 10,000 gold. I come after a week, I buy 10,000 gold. So I can do a play around this. So that's again a one red flag indicator. Similar sort of transaction or same kind of a transaction over a short period. So the company also has to see that a same kind of a transaction over a small period, probably in a month or 2 months. If the amount is exceeding 55,000, then also you have to go and report. It is not just one transaction.
There are some important terms I would want you to explain us about them, like KYC, KYC you have used many times, CDD, then EDD. What are these terms? What do they mean?
See, CDD is customer due diligence. Okay. So knowing about your customer background is due diligence, right? How do you do due diligence? Let's say, if you are into real estate, okay. So if you have a buyer, if you have a seller. So due diligence process is to ensure that the customer you are dealing with is a legitimate customer, is not involved in any unusual transaction or not involved in money laundering. So how do you do a due diligence? The first process of due diligence is you do a KYC. KYC means what? Understanding your customer, like taking basic details and then verifying their documents. So that's the first process of due diligence, where you take the necessary details from the customer and you verify their documents. The second process of due diligence is that you check customer through sanction list, that whether the government, so there are two lists which is followed by UAE government. One is central bank terrorist, UAE terrorist list, which is their own terrorist list, and then second list is United Nations Security Council list, UNSA list. So you have to ensure that if this person was blacklisted by government, or he was earlier identified by the government as a money launderer, or was involved in any drug trafficking or involved in any kind of sort of financial crime, they will list those individual name in this list. So one is CBOE terrorist list, second is UNSA list. So the first duty is to check those names through those lists, that if there is any match or not, means if that names exist in those lists or not. The second sort of due diligence is you also ensure that if you are dealing with politically exposed person, means if there is any individual who is politically exposed, because the person who has public influence are called politically exposed.
Okay, I need a clarification on this. So it's not limited to the people who are into politics. It can be any celebrity, any public figure.
Yes, yes, yes. So any public figure can also do money laundering easily, right? So let's say they cut a ribbon of a restaurant and they get the money for opening a restaurant, and it is easy for them to not list that money into any business transaction, right? They can often take cash or for cutting a ribbon. So any person who has a public influence, any person who can be who can influence the population, is considered as politically exposed. Like you rightly said, any celebrity, Shah Rukh Khan is also a politically exposed person.
They are the definitely in celebrity status, but nowadays there are so many self-claimed influencers in the market who have become influencer on the basis of Instagram followers. So they will also fall in this category.
No, see, I agree with your point. Like if they have like million, billion followers, probably they could be considered as politically exposed. But in if you talk about book terms, they are not considered as a politically exposed. But yes, increased monitoring may be required on those people who has like million followers. Also, not only a celebrity, anybody who holds a higher position in the government institution. So let's say a judge could be politically exposed because he can take the bribery and give a decision on someone else. A person who holds a higher position into any government organization is also considered as a politically exposed person. The third check is, of course, adverse media. Like if there is any negative news against that customer, let's say you have done some sort of fraud in your home country, and there is a news or negative media published against you on some news channel, some reference links are available on the web platform. So you also have to review those things before onboarding a client. So that's a part of due diligence. And enhanced due diligence is done when you identify someone as a high risk. Let's say you identify a person as a politically exposed. Then what is the next process? Okay. If you are onboarding them, then based on enhanced due diligence, based on the supporting documents, based on the additional documents, you are, because see, if I am a judge, I'm just giving you an example. I can buy a property or I can invest anywhere with my personal wealth. Maybe that is my inheritance wealth. based on my salary. So if I'm ready to prove it with my source of fund or source of wealth, then you should have no objection in doing business with me. But if I'm not able to provide that, so that clearly states that the money must be coming from a bribery source.
Asad, how is this technology improving AML processes in the UAE?
So technology plays a vital role. These all processes might looks very complex because if you do it manually, because understanding customer background and reviewing the sanction list manually, it's a difficult task for any individual. So technology plays, of course, important role in this, where the person who builds this kind of a technology updates the sanction list on the system by themselves. So update the politically exposed list, fetch out any negative media associated with the client. So it becomes the onboarding becomes easier for you. So what you do, you just enter the customer details into the system, and rest of the job which we were discussing about due diligence process, system does. So system does a document verification on your behalf, so you don't have to verify whether the document was tampered, and it becomes very difficult. How are you going to identify whether I have changed my date of birth, or whether I have changed I've done tampering on my document? You're not, manually it is very difficult. So
Very
technology
difficult.
helps you to identify and verify the correct document. Then of
Mm-hmm.
course process becomes easier for you. You just enter
Mm.
the names, and from millions of lists, the system screens that information, filter down the search through different factors. Like if you're onboarding a customer with the name, you will also enter the nationality, country of residence, date of birth, passport number, passport expiry. So with
Mm-hmm.
other parameters, also system filters it down and search through different lists, and then give you a quick result. So a job which may takes an hour or two, or maybe a week to do,
Mm.
the system is doing into probably a fraction of
Quickly.
seconds. So
True, true,
yes,
absolutely.
the second part is called ongoing monitoring. So there is a
Mm-hmm.
requirement from central bank that you also, so if you are in ongoing relationship with a client, you have to keep an ongoing monitoring, because if
Mm.
someone is clean today, that's not make him a clean person. There is a possibility that after 3 months he may have some sort of financial crime. He may
Mm.
get involved in some sort of financial crime, or he may go and join some terrorist organization.
Mm.
So you have to keep an ongoing check on customer, and it is very difficult for you, for your existing customer, to check every day through the updated list. You have to go to
Mm.
central bank website. You have to go to different sanction list website. You have to open the list, verify the name. So that
Mm-hmm.
system does on your behalf. So the people who like build this technology have their own name screening team who will update the list on daily basis, and will screen all your updated customer on, with the updated list. And if there is any sort of alerts, if there is any sort of red flag, the system will notify
Mm.
you. So the technology will make your job easier and easier. Now,
Easier.
yeah,
If I can just clarify my understanding. So you are saying if I buy AML software and I have screened probably 50, and all of them happen to be either clean, or after enhanced due diligence they came out to be clean. In future, if any one of those 50 existing client of mine, I may or may not be in touch with them anymore. Some people take continuous services, some people take one time service. So, but if any one of them happens to land in that category of doing mischievous activity or illegal activity, then my system itself will notify me. I don't need to keep checking every now and then.
yeah.
Is that what you are saying?
You see, yeah, yes, absolutely. So now what you have asked is two questions. There is two category of customer. One category is who comes for the only one time business, and there is a category where the customer keeps coming to you, right? There is an ongoing relationship with the client. So if the customer is a one time customer, So probably you do not have to keep an ongoing monitoring on the client, right? Because if let's say client has dealt with you, so why do you require a customer to check him on the sanction list in the next year? Because he's not coming to you back, right? If he goes and joins some terrorist organization also, that should not be your concern. But as a duty, you have to at least keep and check on those existing customer also who comes for the one time, at least for a year. Okay. And for ongoing relationship, you have to keep ongoing monitoring until you are into the relationship with the client. So if you are using a system, so system rescreen all your customer with updated list every day. And if you keep your customer active in the system will automatically screen all your clients with updated list. And if there is any risk or if the system identifies any red flag, even after 3 months, 4 months in your existing clients also, system will send you an alert notification on email, and also on the system notification bar you will get an alert, so that you can go and review back that why there is a red flag in the customer, what is the hit, and what is the relevance of the hit with the customer.
Got it. Yes, Anjali, you may proceed. Yeah, first I have one doubt regarding this explanation. I'll take that and then I'll come to my actual question. As Asad said that this system will give the notification. So, like, the setup is one of the domain. Here, anti-money laundering thing has to be checked every now and then. But I believe this might be many domains where everybody is doing it, like everybody using this AML. And if somebody is not using AML, then uh, he or she cannot identify the red flags and cannot go ahead in this domain.
See, for corporate services provider, the first thing is because they have not yet established the company. So you will have two sort of customer. One is individual, right, who comes to you and then set up a business. So he does not have a company name. Once you set up a business, then you will have a company name. So of course there would be no risk on the company. So what you need to do, you just need to check an individual. The second
Hmm.
sort of customer is an enterprise customer who comes to you
Hmm.
probably to open a new branch. In those industry, irrespective of any industry, it does not mean that the customer comes from a high risk industry. If let's say there is a trading company, if let's say general trading company, if they want to open a supermarket, then they comes to you. Still, you are obliged because you come under that AML supervision. The corporate services provider come. The general trading company does not come under AML supervision. So if they are onboarding their vendors for, let's say, material supply, they don't require to check their due diligence. So like you said, the money laundering can happen there as well, but
Hmm.
they are not required to do it as per the regulatory requirement. But you are required to do as per the regulatory requirement. So if they come to you
Okay.
as the company, you need to check the company, then the shareholders, they're the associate directors.
Got it. All right. Thank you so much for clarifying this. It was like, popping in my mind since the time Aditi was explaining this. Thank you so much for this. So, my another question is like, are UAE businesses adopting AI and advanced tools for AML compliance? And if
Yes.
yes, then how effective they are?
See, yes, every AI is a evolving thing. As we all know, we want a quicker, response. We want a quicker answer. We want a detailed resolution for any issues. So AI helps in many ways. So what happens? There is two ways of screening. One is through fuzzy logic. So I will explain you what fuzzy logic is. So fuzzy logic is that, let's say if my name is Mohammad Asad Qazi Samiullah. Okay. So the fuzzy logic is based on different parameters, that if the name is matching, if the date of birth is matching, if the nationality is matching, if there is a different parameter which is matching a customer, then based on different matches, the fuzzy logic works. So the fuzzy logic have different score parameters based on that, the result comes. The second is AI, where AI is evolving as a platform where you get accurate result. So AI is simplifying that. So in case if you ask AI, maybe Mohammad Asad, a resident of UAE, a national of India, having a date of birth, this is a sanctioned individual or a politically exposed person or not. So AI is going to look at the different sources available on the web and then give you an answer, right? So that is then what a system can do. A system can integrate with AI, and if you put this information into the system, where the system takes the help of AI and get you all this information quickly within seconds. But AI cannot resolve everything. Like I said, AI may not have information of a list of all the politically exposed person. So let's say if I am a corporator of state or maybe certain district, so it is not possible for AI to pull out all those information or maybe a recent update information quickly. So in that perspective, the system is taking help of the manual list, which is getting updated on the system on daily basis, and of course with the help of AI. So it's a combination of both.
Okay. Okay. So someone who's already using software, so are these softwares already aligned, integrated with AI, or that they should also separately check in AI as well?
See, not all software, but we have an engine. Idenfo has an AI engine. I'm not sure about all software because having an AI team, having an IDV team probably is a separate department, right? And having a name screening team which updates the list on manual basis into the system. So that's a separate thing. So yes, if you are choosing and system, you have to ask the vendor that whether they have the AI technology inbuilt or not. And central bank and the UAE government is also encouraging the people to use AI in the system and AI to get the more accurate information.
I think there is no sector left wherein AI is not being utilized
Yeah,
nowadays.
yeah.
Since you have been actively helping people and organizations with the AML compliances, I would like to understand what are the challenges, what are the practical issues that companies are facing, like the most common ones that you have come across in maintaining AML compliance in their companies. You can also talk about the mistakes organizations are making.
Okay. See, the first important point I want to highlight, which is a lack of knowledge. So when I meet a lot of customer, the problem is with the awareness. So the people are not aware about the law, what law states, and what is the process of due diligence. So first thing, what which is lacking is awareness. So they're not aware. The second thing, what I realized that they don't have proper documentation. So in some cases, they have some sort of document missing. They don't have a proper KYC form filled by the customer. So the documentation is the second, biggest thing which is missing as per my experience. The third is, of course, manual process. Many of the organization have not implemented any software or the technology which is helping them for ongoing checks. They are still on the manual processes. So that's a biggest challenge where it becomes difficult for them to keep an ongoing monitoring and to have a proper check on each parameters and staff training. Most of the companies, if you go, probably they will have a compliance officer or they may not have a compliance officer. They may have outsourced someone. But I feel that staff training is also one of the important aspect of it. So every organization should train their staff that when they are going and meeting the client, they makes the compliance officer job easier. So because they understand that what are the parameters of onboarding.
So I think the big organizations are already taking care of AML very well because it's at a high stake for them, no, not complying with this. The main challenges might be with the small and medium organizations with having 50 employees or less than that. I believe so. What do you
Yes,
say?
yes, 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 you're true. See, any bigger organization has two challenges. One is, of course, business challenge, and the second is reputational challenge. So,
Hmm.
any financial institution or a bigger organization will not want that they should have any reputational damage. So, they have the process, of course, ready in place. They have their proper control ready. Like the challenge is in the small organization where there is a lack of awareness, there is, a few employees, they don't have compliance officer, they are not aware about the laws, or they have started the company, they are into the business very new. So for those companies, this is a challenge, but this is becoming very less day by day. People are getting educated, people are aware about the laws because of strict regulation supervisions of the regulators. Now, these, as I say, these volumes are decreasing where the people are not having an AML knowledge.
How can SME comply with AML without excessive cost? I think cost could be one of the major factors for them. Like you already said, many organizations they don't have a well placed application or a software, neither for AML nor for the normal like CRM applications to maintain records. So, what is your suggestion? What would be the most cost effective way of maintaining AML compliance for SME?
See, what I would suggest that there are many affordable solution in the market. There are many affordable solution which probably cost you not more than $3 to $4, maximum $5 per screening, which comes as a 15 dirham per customer. So if you're doing a business, probably the minimum transaction value with a customer would be around 5,000, right? Or maybe the profit volume would be minimum 1,000 or 500. So
Yeah.
spending 15 dirham on a customer due diligence probably can save you from a bigger penalty. So what I would suggest everyone to use a technology platform. And if you don't have an expertise and if you don't have a time, then the second very affordable option is to outsource a compliance agency where you can outsource someone to do this kind of a job.
All right. So, I have one question. Like, what types of penalties or sanctions can companies face for non compliance in the UAE?
See, these the penalties range from around 50,000 dirham to 5 million. So depending on the violation and the penalty. So the penalty, what the violation could be not having a proper AML policy. The violation could be not registering on GoML. The violation could be because of not having proper due diligence, not having proper EWRA. So the penalties, of course, depend on the kind of violation a company does. But yes, it ranges from 50,000 to 5 million, and also suspension of license. So there could be other complications as well.
Could you share examples of recent enforcement actions that highlight the seriousness of AML regulations?
Examples is increased inspection, of course. Earlier you might earlier there was real estate brokers. I'll just give you an example. In real estate brokerage firm, they were not having a proper due diligence process. They did not have proper internal control, and because the most widely high risk sectors, real estate is considered as one of them, where probably people want to use their money, in building their assets. But if because of increased supervision, focus on high risk sectors, increased inspection, so there is a lot of improvement. So I see every real estate sector or every DNMBP segments are complying with laws, and compared to 2023, I think the number has been in 4 times.
So you were talking about training, and of course, that is very crucial, and AML being something new. So, I would like to understand on this training aspect. One thing is like, suppose there is an organization, small company, say 20, 25 employees, neither they have a software nor expertise. So they have outsourced it to an organization like yours or any organization. In that case, also, does it make it mandatory for that company to do the proper training of their staff in their organization, or it is only when you yourself as a company is doing the AML screenings that you should be well trained?
See, there's two things in this. One is, of course, if you have a trained compliance officer, the training duty becomes for compliance officer. So the compliance officer has to train all their staff, because this is a part of the compliance officer role, right? That you will do a KYC, you will have a proper internal control, you will update the AML policy, you will do due diligence, and you will train the staff. The second, if you have not a internal compliance officer, then of course you outsource a company who can come and train your staff. Using system and getting AML training is a two aspects. See, using system is, of course, they cover 80% of the due diligence process, but understanding the AML law, understanding the red flag indicators, understanding with what are the parameters of suspicious transactions, suspicious activity, how to use GoAML portal, when to file suspicious transaction. So there are many aspects of an AML training which you can hire an external AML service training service provider who can come and train your staff, and you can do this on periodic basis. Maybe 6 months you can have a periodic session of AML training for your staffs, maybe in a year, so that if there is any new employee who joins your organization, gets the training.
Are you saying that the AML compliance officer can also be from outside the organization?
Yes, yes. But there should be proper engagement letter, there should be proper contract with the outsourced compliance officer. So yes, you can outsource a compliance officer if you do not have capacity within your organization.
If the organization has decent number of employees, some of them being matured or well experienced, and they want to appoint one of their staffs as AML compliance officer, then what are the requirements?
See, requirement is very clear. The person who has been appointed as a compliance officer should have a relevant knowledge, right? So at least the person should be ACAM certified. If not ACAM certified, then the person should have prior experience in that. A person should have taken some sort of training from any institution, or have some sort of certificate to prove or justify that the person has the relevant knowledge of the AML background.
Which certificate did you mention?
ACAM certificate,
How is
but
it spelled?
ACAMS. That's not a mandatory requirement. It is suggested that the person should have an ACAM certificate. But in case he does not have an ACAM certificate, at least he or she should have a prior experience, or maybe a relevant kind of a certification where they have taken AML training, attended AML webinar, or may have relevant expertise in doing the process.
So if an organization has, for example, outsourced AML compliance officer, and then this person is coming every 6 months and training the staff, so their thing is sorted. They have already built a culture of AML awareness within the organization. But imagine a company having maybe just one or two employees,
Hmm.
and for them, maybe they are not doing business at that scale, and they are just having one or two or three people. In this situation, how can these people train themselves? Like, what are the mediums?
Yeah, so one is, of course, online medium. Have the lot of AML training course available on many platforms, such as Podia is one of the platform. Second is Udemy. So there are many online learning platforms here. You can find out AML training course. You can.
Is government also running any courses?
Yes, yes, yes. So yes, the government, UAE government, has also tied up with ICA, the International Chartered Accountant Association, and they are providing this course in partnership with ICA. So you can directly go to the government website, and one person uh, cost is around $190, $200. I'm not sure. So it is around 170 $180 for one individual, and then you can access this online course and get a certificate from them.
You said that it's not mandatory to have a certificate for the AML compliance officer, but if you have it, then it's even better.
Yes, yes. See, certification proves your authenticity, that when you say to regulator that yes, I am aware about the AML technology and I have experience in that, so the certificate becomes a justification of your what you're saying, a proof to show that yes, I have the certificate and I have taken relevant training about the.
Your organization is also providing these trainings and giving certifications.
Yes, yes, yes.
Great.
What trends do you foresee in AML compliance over the next few years, Asad?
See, it's a very emerging industry. If I remember, when we started it in 2022, probably there was, of course, large players who were there, but now if you go and look around in the market, there are many technology players who are into regulatory technology coming to UAE market because of the demand, because of the increased scrutiny by the government. Yes, going forward 5 years, you will see this industry growing industry, and you can say regulatory technology industry was not well known. People were knowing fintech industry, but if you say someone we are from regtech industry, people may not aware. But in future, coming 3 4 years, you will be able to see regtech industry growing, and people are aware about the regtech industry.
This will also give rise to the career for many peoples in this
Of
domain.
course,
Don't you think
yes,
so?
yes, yes, yes. Because if you see, there are many roles available in a RegTech platform. Of course, a backend is a development team, which of course has a very good impact in making a good solution. Then, if you don't about technology also, then there are many roles, such as a person who does a KYC remediation, like
Yes.
who a verifier, maybe a
Mm-hmm.
person who acts as a compliance officer, who acts as a deputy compliance.
Absolutely.
Will be a many roles, on openings in going future.
Absolutely.
Yes, demand is increasing.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Any advice for businesses and professionals to stay ahead in meeting AML requirements?
Yeah, so the advice is hire a compliance officer, have a proper AML policy, have your KYC form ready while onboarding a customer, use technology for due diligence, and keep a documentation record for 5 years for all your customers.
Okay, great.
How frequently these inspections take place? Like imagine a company just opened after that and it is falling in one of these five categories.
See, there is no timeline for the inspection. These are called routine inspection. It can happen anytime. Even though you're a new company, they want to come and understand whether you have implemented the controls or not. You cannot say that I have opened the company and when a customer comes, I will implement these controls. What happens if the customer comes the next hour? So the inspection can happen anytime. There is no proper timeline given for it, that it will happen after a year or 2 year.
You have already helped so many clients with the AML software, compliances, trainings, right? Any case you would like to share with us, like wherein you saw your client getting fined because of their negligence, or you could help them out to get out of complicated situation.
Yeah, see, because we are into this business, so we have seen multiple clients getting the penalties. So yes, the penalties were not having a proper control, not having a proper documentation, not having a proper policy. So yes, I would not like to take any customer name, but yes, I have seen it from jewelry industry. I've seen it from corporate service providers. I've seen the fines from real estate sectors for not having a proper AML controls.
So even the real estate developers fall in this.
See, the real estate developers do not fall under DNFBP, but if real estate developer are also part of selling the property, if not only development, if there is activity of selling, Yes, so they have to do a proper due diligence on the clients, on the buyer.
So, what is the highest penalty your customer has paid till date, which you know?
I have seen penalties from 300,000, 400,000, half million, which I have seen. Yeah.
You
Is
have
there
seen the
any
customer 500,000
scope
also.
of getting it waived off or reduced?
See, of course, you can challenge. If you, in UAE, you have a freedom of challenging the fine by giving a justification of that, your system was good, or probably you are in the process of learning and you are trying to improve the system. So, of course, you can challenge, but there is no guarantee. Like you get a penalty on maybe driving a car and you get a challan. I'm just giving example. You can always challenge a challan based on that
Yeah.
you were driving safe, right? But there is no guarantee that maybe the fine will be waived off. But there is a possibility that yes, it can be waived off based on your justification.
Yeah, of course. That is something universal, no? That
Yeah,
applies
yeah,
everywhere. But at
everywhere.
least we have the option. It's not
Yes.
that once you get fined, it's the end of the world.
No, no,
It's
no,
not like
no.
that.
It's not like that.
You can still, if you feel that you have a scope, you can produce documents, proofs, you can give it a try.
Yes, yes. There is a scope. Yes.
Yes. Okay. I would love if you could highlight on the facts, like what people should be aware of, any kind of fraudulent services provided in case there are so many service providers for this, right? So, what are the things they should be aware of and they should take care of before choosing any such form for AML compliance or related to softwares?
There are many aspects of it. First thing, what you should be concerned about your data. As per the regulatory requirement, your data is stored in UAE. So if a company who probably is from India or maybe UK, and they are hosting your data in India, or if you're hosting in your data in UK, so probably that should be your first concern, that your data is going out of country. So if you are running a business in UAE, your first requirement to choose the service provider should be where is your data hosted. So when you're screening, probably your data should not go out of UAE. So the data service provider have a data hosting in UAE. That should be first priority. The second, which we discussed, that use of AI technology, that whether they are using any AI technology or not in their system. The third is, of course, their local presence, that what are, whether they have a local registered firm here or not, and then what is the reputation of the company, how many clients they are serving probably in UAE, and what are the testimonials, what are the reviews they have on the Google. So this is how you can evaluate a company. There is no other way you can evaluate a company. So these are the basic checks you first do while choosing a service provider.
There were a lot of things which were new, few things we were aware of, but you have enlightened on other aspects as well, which are very crucial. And I'm hoping that people who listen to this, they find it useful. And if they have anything to say, comment or queries, we would love our audience to share that in the comment box. Asad, thank you so much for coming and giving your time
Thank you.
and having this session with us. Anjali,
Thank
what would
you.
you say?
Thank you, Asad. It was great having conversation with you. And you explained with so, good examples that, it really got cleared. Every layman can get, good idea about every regulation and everything which you explained. It was great conversation.
True.
Thank you
Thank
so
you.
much.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye bye.